If you're waking up once, twice, or even 3 times a night to use the bathroom, and you've simply accepted it as part of getting older, there's a habit worth trying before you assume nothing can be done. Most people believe this comes down to bladder size or drinking too much water in the evening. Sometimes that's true. But there's a very common, often overlooked reason this happens after 60. One that has nothing to do with how much you drink at night, and everything to do with where fluid sits in your body during the day. It's not a medication. It's not a bladder training program. It's a simple, 5-minute habit you can do in the late afternoon, hours before you even think about bed. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why nighttime bathroom trips increase with age, what this habit actually is, and how to know if it's likely to help in your specific case. I am Dr. David Collins, and this channel is dedicated to bringing you the latest evidence-based research on senior health in a way that is practical and easy to use. If you have not subscribed yet, I would encourage you to do that now. Real quick before we dive in, everything I cover in these videos is just one piece of a much bigger picture. I took everything I tell my own patients about living well after 50, the meal plans, the daily routines, the home remedies, and put it all into one complete guide. It has already helped thousands of people feel the difference in weeks. It is 62% off right now, that is $50 off, but not for long. Link is in the description or scan the QR code on your screen. Grab it and drop your email after purchase so I can follow up with you personally and help you stay consistent with the plan. Here's something many people don't realize. Waking up to urinate at night, which doctors call nocturia, isn't always about the bladder itself. In many older adults, it's actually about fluid location. During the day, especially if you're sitting for long stretches, gravity naturally pulls some fluid down into your lower legs and ankles. For a lot of people over 60, this shows up as mild swelling by the end of the day, sometimes so subtle you barely notice it. When you lie down at night, that pooled fluid doesn't just stay put. Your body gradually reabsorbs it back into the bloodstream, and your kidneys, doing their job, filter it and turn it into urine, right in the middle of the night while you're trying to sleep. There's a second factor, too. As we age, the body produces slightly less of a hormone called antidiuretic hormone during the night, a hormone that normally helps concentrate urine and reduce output while we sleep. With less of it circulating, urine production at night naturally increases somewhat, independent of anything you drank that evening. Let's look at why the timing of fluid, not just the amount, matters so much here. Think of your circulatory system like a network of rivers and streams. During the day, while you're upright, fluid tends to flow downhill toward your legs and settle there, the same way water pools at the lowest point of a landscape. Lying flat removes that downhill pull, and the fluid that had settled in your legs begins moving back into general circulation. This is where a very simple, evidence-supported intervention comes in. Elevating your legs for a period of time in the late afternoon or early evening, well before bed. When you raise your legs above the level of your heart, you're essentially giving that pooled fluid a head start on returning to circulation and getting processed by your kidneys hours earlier, while you're still awake and going about your evening, rather than after you've already fallen asleep. Research on nocturia in older adults has specifically looked at interventions like leg elevation and compression stockings worn during the day, both aimed at reducing the amount of fluid that accumulates in the legs in the first place. Several studies have found that these approaches can measurably reduce nighttime urine output and the number of bathroom trips, particularly in people who have noticeable ankle swelling by evening. It's worth being clear that this particular explanation applies most strongly to people who do experience some visible leg or ankle swelling during the day. For people without that pattern, other factors like bladder capacity, sleep apnea, or medication timing may be playing a bigger role, which we'll touch on shortly. Think about a 74-year-old woman named Patricia. She'd been waking up 2 to 3 times most nights for years and had simply resigned herself to it as an unavoidable part of aging. She'd already cut back on evening fluids significantly, with barely any noticeable improvement. At an appointment, her doctor asked her to roll up her pant legs and noticed mild swelling around her ankles, something Patricia herself had stopped paying attention to. Her doctor suggested she start elevating her legs on a couple of pillows for about 45 minutes each afternoon, ideally around 4 or 5 o'clock, well before dinner. Within about 2 weeks, Patricia noticed her nighttime trips had dropped to about once a night, sometimes not at all. Her evening fluid intake hadn't changed. The only new variable was that 45-minute window with her legs up earlier in the day. Patricia's experience isn't universal, and it specifically applied to her because she had that daytime fluid pooling pattern. But it's a clear example of how the real cause of a common complaint can be hiding somewhere other than where most people assume to look. So here's how to actually try this. Set aside 30 to 45 minutes in the late afternoon or early evening, ideally at least 3 to 4 hours before your usual bedtime. Lie down or recline, and elevate your legs so they're above the level of your heart. A couple of firm pillows under your calves while lying on a couch or bed works well for most people. During this window, you don't need to do anything special. Reading, watching television, or simply resting is fine. The goal is simply giving gravity time to work in the opposite direction, moving fluid out of your legs and into circulation while you're upright and active enough for your body to process it normally. If you notice visible swelling around your ankles by the end of most days, this habit is especially worth trying consistently for at least 2 to 3 weeks before judging whether it's helping, since the effect tends to build with regular practice rather than happening after a single session. Mistakes to avoid. Don't do this right before bed, since the goal is releasing that fluid hours before sleep, not right as you're lying down for the night. Don't skip it some days and expect consistent results, since irregular practice makes it harder to tell if it's actually working for you. And don't assume this replaces other bladder-related evaluations, particularly if you're also experiencing urgency, pain, or trouble emptying your bladder fully, all of which deserve a separate conversation with your doctor. What to realistically expect. If daytime leg swelling is genuinely part of your pattern, most people notice some improvement within 2 to 3 weeks. If you don't have noticeable leg swelling, this particular habit may have a smaller effect, and it's worth discussing other possible causes with your doctor, including sleep apnea, prostate issues, or the timing of any diuretic medications you take. A few misconceptions worth clearing up. Many people assume nighttime bathroom trips are purely about how much you drink in the evening, and while that plays a role, it's often not the whole story, especially for people with some daytime leg swelling. Another common assumption is that this is simply an unavoidable part of aging that nothing can be done about. In reality, several specific identifiable causes of nocturia exist, and many of them respond to targeted habits or treatments once properly identified. And one mistake I see often: people assume all bathroom-related sleep disruption is a bladder problem, when in some cases, especially in people who snore heavily or feel unrefreshed despite a full night's sleep, undiagnosed sleep apnea is actually a contributing factor, since apnea episodes can trigger increased nighttime urine production through a separate hormonal pathway. A few supporting factors worth mentioning. If you take a diuretic medication, called a water pill, taking it earlier in the day, if your doctor approves, can sometimes reduce nighttime urine production significantly. Reducing caffeine and alcohol in the evening still matters, since both can increase urine output independent of total fluid volume. And if leg elevation doesn't meaningfully help after a few consistent weeks, it's worth mentioning to your doctor, since that helps rule this specific cause in or out, and points toward other explanations worth investigating. If you've made it this far, you're clearly invested. You want to see what happens next, but most viewers enjoy the content and scroll away without subscribing. If this one really means something to you, tap subscribe. It takes a second. If not, you'll probably forget this channel exists and miss a lot of great educational content ahead. Quick pause. What I just showed you is only one of 40 chapters inside the 50-plus Wellness Blueprint. Every chapter comes with a meal plan, a daily routine, and home remedies you can use tonight. It is 62% off right now, $50 off, limited time only. Link is in the description or scan the QR code on your screen. Grab it before the price goes back up and drop your email after purchase so I can follow up with you and help you stay consistent with the plan. And if these videos have been helping you, your support through the link in the channel description helps us keep creating simple, easy-to-understand health education for adults over 60 who may not always get enough time, guidance, or clear explanations elsewhere. Every bit of support helps us keep this community growing. Let's bring this together. Waking up at night to urinate often isn't purely about how much you drink in the evening. For many older adults, fluid that pools in the legs during the day gets reabsorbed and processed into urine overnight, and a simple habit of elevating your legs in the late afternoon can help your body handle that fluid hours earlier while you're still awake. The bigger takeaway isn't really about the bladder itself. It's that a nighttime problem sometimes has a daytime cause, and finding that cause changes everything about how to address it. Healthy aging isn't about accepting every inconvenience as unavoidable. It's about staying curious about your own body and asking why, rather than simply adjusting your life around a problem. A better night's sleep might be closer than you think, and it can start with something as simple as putting your feet up. The people who feel different in 90 days are the ones who act today, not next week. The 50-Plus Wellness Blueprint is your complete daily system, 40 chapters, meal plans, home remedies, doctor scripts, all in plain language, built for real life. 62% off right now. That is $50 off. Limited time. Link is in the description or scan the QR code on your screen. Grab it tonight and drop your email after purchase so I can follow up with you personally and help you stay consistent with the plan. And if these videos and guides have been helping you, you can also support this community through the link in the channel description. Your support helps us continue creating simple, easy-to-understand health education for adults over 60 who may not always get enough time, guidance, or clear explanations elsewhere. Every bit of support helps us keep this community growing and continue helping more seniors take better care of their health with confidence. I will see you in the next video. This video is for general educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your physician or a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your daily routine or medications, especially if you have an existing health condition.